This is Matthew 15:3. But he answered and said unto them, why do ye also transgress the commandment of the Most High by your tradition? Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kol Haloyim La Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Barakah HaKodash, which means all praises to Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father. Bahasham means in the name. Yahweh Shai is the name of his only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly called Jesus Christ. Barakah HaKodash means in the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of truth, on the way we can worship the Father and the Son. Double honors to the apostles and elder bishops, a great millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all you brothers preaching the gospel in truth and in sincerity, always in charity. It's Brother Matati from the Great Millstone Camp, the branch on Des Moines. And I think I'm entitled this lesson, Multiple Wives, Heathen Women, and Adultery. You know, and I started off with this particular precept here because you had certain, wicked scribes and Pharisees, who approached Yahweh Shai and was questioning him concerning certain traditions that Yahweh Shai and the apostles didn't keep, and I'm applying this unto today, because in today's society, there's a tradition of, a man is only supposed to have one woman, and you got Israelite camps, quote unquote Israelite camps, man, because these dudes, they Babylonians, man, they Babylonians, right? But they want to hold forth this tradition and they want to bypass the laws of the Most High, because within the law of the Most High, this is the book of Exodus 21. And 10. It says, if he take him another wife, so just letting us know right here. So if a man does take on a second wife, these are the requirements. But you got guys that'll say, getting another wife is adultery or getting another wife is sin. Which, once again, they're what it says, traditions, precepts of men. This is Isaiah 29:13. Wherefore the Lord said, for as much as this people draw near me with their mouth and with their lips do honor me, but has removed their heart far from me, and their fear toward me is taught by the precept of men. You see, it's not what the scriptures say, it's what these different individuals say. And we can see that there's guys out there that's upholding the traditions of men. They're upholding the precepts of men, and they're disregarding the laws, the instructions of the Heavenly Father, right? Back in Exodus 21:10. If he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish, man. And that's plain within itself. So within the law lets us know that if a man does take another wife, these are the requirements he must fulfill. It didn't say that it's a sin for him to take another one, man. You see? And there's plenty of examples throughout our history of men having multiple wives. You had Jacob. He had Rachel and Leah, and also their handmaids, Zilpah and Bilhah, if I'm remembering the names correctly. So that was 4 women right there, right? But you also had, this is 1 Samuel 1:1. Now there was a certain man of Ramathai Zephon of Mount Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, the son of Jehoram, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zeph, an Ephrathite, and he had 2 wives. So was he sinning here? Because this is after the law was given. And he's a Levite, so he very well would have knew the law, right? And he had 2 wives. The name of the one was Hannah, and the name of the other Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children, man. And there's also a law concerning if a man has 2 wives, and if he likes one wife more than the other. It's Deuteronomy 21. And 15. If a man have 2 wives, one beloved and another hated, meaning he loved her less, and they have borne him children, both the beloved and the hated, And if the firstborn son be hers that was hated, then it shall be when he maketh his sons to inherit that which he hath, that he may not make the son of the beloved firstborn before the son of the hated, which is indeed the firstborn, right? So the firstborn son is by the less loved wife. And then he has another son by the wife he loves more. Well, the one that he bared first is the firstborn, so he can't give the inheritance or the blessing unto the one he loves more. You see? So these are laws and instructions that the Lord has given if a man takes another wife. These are guidelines and laws. It didn't say that he couldn't take another wife. These are the requirements if he does have one. You see how these dudes add in and that's why let me pull this, man. That's why the scriptures talk about adding and taking away. This is the book of Revelation 22 and 19. And if any man shall take away from the words of the book of this prophecy, the Most High shall take away his part out of the book of life and out of the holy city and from the things which are written in this book. Now you have a nigga jump up and say, he didn't take it out of Revelation. That's talking about Revelation. Well, in Deuteronomy 4:2, ye shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall ye diminish aught from it, that ye may keep the commandments of Yahweh your power, which I command you, man. There it is. Proverbs 30:6, add thou not unto his words, lest he reprove thee, and thou be found a liar. So what the Lord is doing, he's showing forth that these dudes are not sent by him and that they're liars, man. You see? And there's multiple more examples, multiple more. There's multiple examples of our forefathers having multiple women. Did not it say, Salaki, bear with me, because this is concerning our King David. This is 1 Samuel 25:43. David also took Ahinoam of Jezreel, and they were also both of them his wives, right? So even David had two wives. You had Abigail, which she was the wife of Nabal, which the Lord killed him. So she was loose from her husband because the Lord killed him, right? So she was free to marry David. And David also had Ahinoam. You see? While he was also still married to Saul's daughter, right? Yep, that's what we want. 1 Samuel 30:3. So David and his men came to the city. Nope, that's not the one. Salaki, bear with me. Yep, here it is. 2 Samuel 5:13. It says, and David took him more concubines and wives out of Jerusalem. But if it was unlawful, would not David had known that? Wouldn't the Lord had came and told David that when he committed adultery with Bathsheba, which we're going to get into that, what adultery actually is. When he committed adultery with Bathsheba, did not the Lord send Nathan to come reprove him and correct him? So why didn't the Lord come correct him on these multiple women? And David took him more concubines and wives out of Jerusalem after he was come from Hebron, and there were yet sons and daughters born to David. And since we mentioned Bathsheba, did not the Lord say, that he would have gave David more? This is the book of 2 Samuel 12:7. And Nathan said to David, thou art the man, right? Because he gave a parable, and pretty much this is him showing David his sin. It says, thus saith the Lord, power of Israel, I anointed thee king over Israel, and I delivered thee out of the hand of Saul. And I gave thee thy master's house and thy master's wives into thy bosom, meaning everything that Saul owned now belongs to David. It's not saying that David took Saul's wives. No, it's saying that David was the overseer. He was the ruler of all of Israel. That's what it's going into, right? And gave thee the house of Israel and of Judah. And if that had been too little, I would moreover have given unto thee such and such things. You see? Wherefore hast thou despised the commandment of the Lord to do evil in his sight? Thou hast killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and hast taken his wife to be thy wife, and hast slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon. I was reading down, but that's what adultery is, man. A married woman sleeping with another man outside of her husband. That's what adultery is. You see? But we're touching on the first part about the multiple wives thing. So if David wanted more women, the Lord was like, all you had to do was ask. If that was too little, I would have gave you such and such. I would have gave you more. You see? So scripturally, biblically, it is lawful for a man to have multiple women. Right? Now let's touch on the heathen women thing, because you got guys saying, oh, we're not allowed to. Well, this is the book of Deuteronomy 7:1, because this is the precept that they try to use. Deuteronomy 7:1. When Yahweh thy power shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou, right? So these are the inhabitants, the old inhabitants of our land. So these are all Canaanites. And when Yahweh thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. Right? So guys try to use this to say, see, we can't deal with no other nation. No, this is specifically talking about the Canaanites, the old inhabitants of our land. You see? Did not Moses marry a woman outside of the nation of Israel? And you had his sister speak against that, man, right? In the book of Numbers. It's 16, I think. No, that's the rebellion. Let me see. Salakia, bear with me. Numbers 12. This is Numbers 12:1. And Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married, for he had married an Ethiopian woman. And they said, hath Yahweh indeed spoken only by Moses? Hath he not spoken also by us? And Yahweh heard it, right? And as we read down, we see that the Lord, he was angered against that speech, man, right? And since Miriam was completely out of place, the Lord smote her with leprosy. But the Lord corrected them. You see how the Lord brought forth judgment because they questioned Moses and whom he married? If it was according to the law, would not the Lord came to Moses and said, hey, your brother and sister right. You got to put that woman away. He didn't say that, man. He didn't say that. The only ones that we were not allowed to marry was the Canaanites, the old inhabitants of our land. There's also a law. Let's grab this in Deuteronomy 21. In 10, when thou goest forth to war against thy enemies, the heathen, and Yahweh thy God have delivered them into thy hands, and thou hast taken them captive, and seest among the captives a beautiful woman, and hast a desire unto her, that thou wouldest have her to thy wife. You see? So this is a law stating that, look, we can have women of the other nation outside of the Canaanites, because the Canaanites, the Lord commanded that we weren't to deal with them. You see? So if we went to war against Ammon, if we went to war against Moab, if we went to war against Aram, if we went to war against Ashur, if we went to war against Edom, and we whooped their ass, and we see that a woman that we had a desire to, it was lawful for us to take them. Verse 12. Then thou shalt bring her home to thy house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails, and she shall put the raiment of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in thy house, and be her father and her mother a full month. And after that thou shalt go in unto her, and be her husband, and she shall be thy wife. Boom. You see? Where is this madness that these dudes are saying, man? Then they try to pull out Tobit, when Tobit gave his son Tobias instructions on not to marry outside of his tribe. So is it unlawful for a Judite to marry an Ischarite? Because you want to use that Tobit to justify your stance when Tobit was telling his son Tobias not to marry outside of his tribe. Why? Because the inheritance that was to be passed down from Sarah's father belonged unto Tobias. When you read the book of Tobit, you see, I believe his name was Raguel. You know, her name was Sarah, Tobias' wife, whom he was, the Lord has set it up in the spirit for them to be married, for them to be joined together. I believe her father's name was Raguel, if I'm remembering correctly, but he didn't have any sons, which is why when they got married, he delivered unto Tobias half his goods. And he said, once me and my wife die, I'm going to write this in writing that when I die, the rest of my goods belong unto you, which is why that the token or the writings was written. See, the IUIC try to say that you need a marriage certificate. That's not what was going on in the book of Tobit, man. The possession was to be transferred. So that's what was to be written in writing. You see, just like in the book of Jeremiah, when it was Jeremiah's closest to kin, where he grabbed the instruments for writing. Let me pull that real quick. I don't even know how it's worded. Let me just see sight of people. Man, I'm not even sure how it was written. Did it say instruments? If need be, I'll just pause it and search it up. I know it's in the book of Jeremiah. Yeah, bear with me, Baba Kusha. Okay, it's Jeremiah 32. Verse 7, it says, behold, Hanamiel, the son of Shalom, thy uncle, shall come unto thee, saying, buy thee my field that is in Anathoth, for the right of redemption is thine to buy it. And going back into the book of Tobit, the angel, Raphael, which he disguised himself, he says, appertain, I believe that's the word. Yep. Tobit 6:11. For to thee doeth the right of her appertain, seeing thou only art of her kindred. And going back into the law, if a man had no sons and only daughters, then that inheritance was passed unto his daughters. But in order to keep that inheritance in the family, she had to marry of her father's tribe. This is what those instruments or the writings of marriage was for. This is why Tobit, through the spirit, instructed his son to marry within the tribe. You see? But these dudes ain't spiritual, man. These niggas ain't spiritual. But these are the precepts that they try to use to say that we're not supposed to marry outside the nation of Israel. No, we can have concubines. We can have women of the other nations. You see, we were only instructed not to marry the Canaanite women. That's it. That's the only nation the Lord said not to touch. And then they try to use King Solomon as an example, right? Let's pull that. First King 11:1. But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites. See, these were two inhabitants of Zion, which they were what? Canaanites, Hittites. They were Canaanites, you know. But it says, of the nations concerning which Yahweh said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you. For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love. That was his sin. His sin was he allowed those women to entice him in order to worship heathen gods. They turned his heart away from the Lord. Verse 4. I keep reading down. And he had 700 wives, princesses, meaning Israelite women, and 300 concubines, women of the other nations. And his wives turned away his heart. See, that's the sin right there. Because as long as he had those women, he wasn't sinning. Until what? Until his heart turned away from the Lord. That's when the sin came. Would not the Lord have came to him and told him, look, you one too many. He had 700 wives and 1,000 women, man. He had 1,000 women. Would not the Lord come when that second woman came? So you telling me the Lord allow him to get to 1,000 women? Then he like, look, Solomon. Boy, these dudes is bugged, man. These dudes is bugged. But this is where the sin came. The sin came because Solomon allowed those women to turn his heart, which was the same thing that took place in the book. Was that Ezra or Nehemiah? Yep, this Nehemiah 13:23. In those days also saw I Jews that had married wives of Ashdod, of Ammon, and of Moab. And their children spake half in the speech of Ashdod, and could not speak in the Jews' language, but according to the language of each people. So your language represents your culture and the heritage that you being raised or taught in. So if they wasn't speaking the Hebrew, what does that mean? That mean that those men were allowing those women to teach their sons in the ways of the heathen. You see, this is where the sin came, because those children, those Israelite children that were being raised, they were being raised in heathenistic customs. Therefore, their heart wasn't toward Yahweh B'Asham Yahushai. That's where the sin lied. You see, it wasn't with sleeping with those women. It was with allowing those women to turn either their heart or their children from the Lord, man. You see? Because if that's the case, why didn't the Lord? We just read how David had concubines, women of the other nations. Why didn't the Lord get on David about that? You see? A good example of that is Rehoboam. Rehoboam was 40 years old, if I'm not mistaken. 41, I think it said he was. And you're going to see why I'm saying what I'm saying. 1 Kings 14:21. And Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, reigned in Judah. Rehoboam was 41 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem, the city which Yahweh did choose out of all the tribes of Israel to put his name there. And his mother's name was Naamah, an Ammonitess. So Rehoboam's mother was a heathen, right? Now, Solomon didn't sin at this point or when he got with her because he was still in his right mind. And how do I know that? It says that when Rehoboam took the throne, he was 41. So that's letting us know that Solomon died and then Rehoboam reigned in his stead. How long did how long did King Solomon reign? King Solomon reigned for 40 years. Rehoboam was 41 when he took the throne. So that lets us know that when King Solomon took the throne, Rehoboam was a year old. So before Solomon took the throne, he had already married this Ammonite woman. Wouldn't the Lord have said that was a sin? No, Solomon, what is you doing? You see? These guys ain't got it, man. These guys ain't got it. So it's lawful for us to deal with any woman we want outside the Canaanite woman. And we can have as many women as we want, as long as we're able to provide. And we're coming into a time, which we're in that time now, and it's only going to get worse for these women. But we're in that time, this Isaiah 4:1. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. So we're in the times where women going to provide their own things for themselves. All they need is just a man to cover them. You see, if it was unlawful, why is this written? Why is this prophecy written? See, these guys ain't got it, man. These guys ain't got it. And concerning adultery, Apostle Aramlav had brought this out in his lesson earlier, Matthew the 5th chapter. In the 27th verse, ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you that whosoever look on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her in his heart, meaning a married woman. If you look and lust after a married woman in your heart, you just committed a sin. And if thy right hand offend thee, pluck it out and cast it out from thee, for it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not thy whole body should be cast into hell. I'm gonna scroll down. Verse 31. And it hath been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorcement. And Yahweh shall explain unto us why Moses put that in there, because of the hardness, because of the wickedness of Jake during that time. Verse 32. But I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, causeth her to commit adultery. And whosoever shall marry her that is divorced, meaning this is a woman that was already married, committeth adultery. That's what adultery is, man. Which is what David committed when he slept with Uriah's wife. You see? That is what adultery is. So if a man get with a single woman, that's not adultery. You know, in terms of the law, it is if she's not a virgin. Because we're in this society, and as Yahweh Shah called us, man, we're a generation of adulterers and adulteresses, you know. But just applying it unto today's society, if she's a single woman and she's not married, she's not with nobody, then it's okay for a man to deal with that woman, even though he got a woman at home. As simple as that. It's very plain, you know? Yep, it pretty much said the same thing. Luke 16:18, whosoever putteth away his wife and marrieth another, meaning another wife, committeth adultery. And whosoever marrieth her that is put away from her husband, committeth adultery, man. And then you got today's time, you got women that's out here playing the field, which why Yahweh Shah called us a generation of adulterers and adulteresses. You see? So that's what adultery is, man. Adultery is sleeping with another man's wife. That is what adultery is. If a man get him a woman and she ain't got no man, that's not adultery. It's simple as that. And these are the words of our Lord Yahweh Shai. It's very plain, cut, dry, and to the point. You know, a woman commits adultery when she sleeps with somebody outside of her man. A man commits adultery when he sleeps with a woman that's married to another man. It's very simple. So I'm going to end it there. I pray and hope that this was edifying. Dua Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, for giving me the spirit to do this lesson. Matter of fact, I'll show you another case of adultery. This is the book of Sirach. Hold on, Salakia. Take a sip of this water real quick. And I need to check something. Yeah, let me take a sip of this water. Bear with me. All right. This is the book of Sirach 23 and 17. It says, all bread is sweet to a whoremonger. He will not leave off till he die. A whoremonger is a pimp, a guy that sells women, right? A man that breaketh wedlock. How did he break wedlock? Because he slept with a woman that was married to a man. She was locked into that union with a man. And another man came and broke that union up. You see? A man that breaketh wedlock, saying thus in his heart, who seeth me? I am compassed about with darkness. The walls cover me, and nobody seeth me. What need I to fear? The Most High will not remember my sins. Such a man only feareth the eyes of men, and knoweth not that the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all the ways of men, and considering the most secret parts. He knew all things ere ever they were created. So also after they were perfected, he looked upon them all. This man shall be punished in the streets of the city, and where he suspected not, he shall be taken. Thus shall it go also with the wife that leaveth her husband and bringeth in an heir by another. You see? So he's explaining unto us what adultery is, man. For first, she have disobeyed the law of the Most High. Secondly, she hath trespassed against her own husband. And thirdly, she hath played the whore in adultery and brought children by another man. Ain't that what this is that Judges 24? It ain't no 24 chapter. It talked about the Levite man. Judges 19:1, and it came to pass in those days when there was no king in Israel, that there was a certain Levite sojourning on the side of Mount Ephraim, who took to him a concubine out of Bethlehem, Judah. And his concubine played the whore against him, and went away from him unto her father's house to Bethlehem, Judah, and was there 4 whole months. You see? So she committed adultery by leaving her husband. These are all the accounts that's written in the scriptures, man. You see? But once again, these guys try to teach traditions. They try to teach precepts of men. They try to give you this westernized, perception or viewpoint, man. To hell with that, man. We're walking in the ways of Yahweh Basham Yahweh Shah. We're turning back into the east, into our own heritage. And these guys want you to be ashamed of that, man. To hell with these niggas, man. And thirdly, she hath played the whore in adultery and brought children by another man. She shall be brought out into the congregation, and inquisition shall be made of her children. Her children shall not take root, and her branches shall bring forth no fruit. She shall leave her memory to be cursed, and her reproach shall be blotted out. And her reproach shall not be blotted out. And they that remain shall know that there is nothing better than the fear of the Lord, and that there is nothing sweeter than to take heed unto the commandments of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. It is great glory to follow the Lord, not men. It is great glory to follow Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, and to be received of him is long life. So there is where I'm going to end it. Lord will, I hope this was edifying. The word Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, for giving me the spirit to do this lesson. I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Baruch HaKodash. Double honors to our apostles and elder bishops, a great millstone. Peace, blessings, salutations to all you brothers preaching the gospel in truth and in sincerity, always in charity. Shalom.